are sitting in a meeting. Your eyes are focused on the speaker. The air in the room is suffocatingly still. Or maybe it is a group chat. A notification pulls you from your thoughts. You glance down at the illuminated screen. Someone just dropped a subtle insult. It was disguised as a casual joke, but the venom was unmistakable and sharp. The disrespect cut straight to your core. You can feel your heart racing immediately. A hot surge of adrenaline floods your veins. Your breathing becomes shallow and uncomfortably fast. The physical reaction is entirely involuntary. You want to defend yourself right now. You desperately search for the perfect comeback. Your mind races through a dozen angry responses. But you do not want to look weak. You know that snapping back looks defensive. So you sit there in paralyzed silence. Let them think they have won the exchange. We have all been there. The sudden sting of unprovoked disrespect. The feeling of your boundaries being violently tested. We all face these tiny, daily humiliations. We all know that burning urge to fire back, to immediately assert our dominance in the room, to crush their insult with devastating logic, because our ego demands instant vindication. We want to prove that we cannot be played with, so we type out 3 furious paragraphs. We lay out exactly why they are wrong. We press send in a moment of pure heat, but when we do that, we lose our center. We let their careless words dictate our pulse. We allow an insignificant comment to ruin our day. We give them the exact reaction they wanted. In that very moment of angry reaction, we surrender our emotional sovereignty entirely. We step directly into their psychological framework. We become a marionette dancing on their strings. And because we reacted, we lose the game. Because the game was never about the insult itself. The game was about seeing if they could control you. And your immediate anger proved that they could. But true power lies in absolute silence. Real authority never screams to be recognized. It simply exists, unmovable and profoundly calm. It is the chilling quiet that commands true respect. This is the art of supreme indifference. It is the conscious choice to simply decouple. You observe the disrespect without absorbing the venom. You watch the storm, but you remain the mountain. Understand the true nature of their attack. When they insult you, they want a reaction. They are throwing a line out into the dark. They are desperately waiting for you to bite. A reaction proves they hold leverage over you. It validates their pathetic attempt at dominance. It tells them they successfully pierced your armor, but silence gives them absolutely nothing to grasp. Emotional detachment is your ultimate psychological armor. It is a barrier they cannot scream through. It is a wall they cannot manipulate or bypass. It renders their petty games completely ineffective. Supreme indifference starves them of the conflict they crave. Toxic people feed off of emotional turbulence. Without your anger, their insult dies in a vacuum. They are left alone with their own bitterness. When faced with disrespect, you simply step back. You observe their behavior like a curious scientist. You emotionally detach from the immediate situation entirely. You refuse to participate in their chaotic theater. This is when you implement the 24-hour rule. It is the ultimate weapon against reactive impulses. It is the space between stimulus and your response. In that space lies your absolute freedom. Give them absolutely nothing in the heat of the moment. Do not argue. Do not attempt to explain yourself. Extinguish the fire by depriving it of oxygen. Your silence is deafening and incredibly confusing. Let the terrible weight of silence hum in their ears. Silence makes manipulative people incredibly uncomfortable. It forces them to sit with what they just said. It reflects their toxicity right back onto them. You force them to question their own behavior. They expected a fight, but they met a void. They start to wonder if they went too far. You have shifted the psychological pressure entirely onto them. Ultimately, your total lack of reaction is your absolute victory. You have retained your energy and your focus. You have denied them the satisfaction of your pain. You have proven that you cannot be easily moved. So how do we actually execute this in reality? Theory is useless without a practical, rigid system. We need a protocol for when the adrenaline hits. We need to wire our brain for tactical silence. We must build a strategic mental gap immediately, a physical pause between their words and your brain. This gap is where your emotional control lives. It is the firewall protecting your sovereign mind. When the insult drops, take exactly one deep breath. Inhale slowly through your nose, expanding your stomach. This forces your nervous system to stand down. It buys you the critical milliseconds you need to think. Look them directly in the eyes. Provide zero expression. Do not frown. Do not smile nervously. Say absolutely nothing. Let your gaze be heavy, blank, and painfully unbothered. Become an unreadable wall of cold stone. Let 2 full excruciating seconds pass in total silence. 2 seconds feels like an eternity in a conversation. Let the tension build until it suffocates them. Watch them squirm under the weight of your gaze. Then, without a word, simply shift your attention elsewhere. Look back at your notes or turn to someone else. Treat their insult as if it never even happened. You are dismissing them entirely from your reality. If the attack is digital, put the phone face down. Step away from the glowing screen immediately. Do not let your thumbs act faster than your logic. The digital realm demands a much longer pause. You do not respond to that message until tomorrow. 24 hours is sufficient time for the anger to die. It allows you to view the situation with cold clarity. You respond on your timeline, never on theirs. When you finally do respond, you strip the emotion entirely. Remove every defensive word from the equation. Delete the exclamation points and the angry questions. Your response must be devastatingly dull and factual. If you absolutely must reply, be completely clinical and polite. Acknowledge their statement without validating its emotional weight. Use simple, direct language that leaves no room for debate. Noted is often the most powerful sentence in the world. Under no circumstances do you defend or explain yourself. Explaining is a subconscious plea for their understanding. It implies that they have jurisdiction over your choices. You do not owe an explanation to a manipulator. We must fiercely own the tempo of our lives. We decide when to engage and when to retreat. We do not dance to the chaotic rhythm of others. We are the sole authors of our own tranquility. So the next time someone actively tests your boundaries, when they try to provoke you into a public failure, when you feel that familiar heat rising in your chest, I want you to pause and remember this simple truth. Remember that reacting impulsively is always losing. It is handing over the keys to your mental kingdom. It is allowing a lesser mind to dictate your state. Choose to walk away from the unwinnable fight. Their overt disrespect is entirely their internal problem, not yours. It is a glaring reflection of their own deep insecurities. It is evidence of their desperate need for external control. You do not have to carry their toxic baggage. You must actively build an impenetrable emotional fortress, a sanctuary where external noise cannot possibly reach you, a place where you are immune to their desperate provocations. This fortress is constructed entirely out of your own silence. You must consciously practice the art of supreme indifference daily. It is not a natural reflex, it is a trained skill. Start small with minor annoyances and meaningless arguments. Build the muscle memory of the strategic pause. Let their insults break against your absolute, unyielding calm. Watch their energy dissipate into the empty space you created. They will eventually realize that you are completely untouchable. They will move on to find an easier, weaker target. You, and only you, are the supreme sovereign of your mind. You sit on the throne of your own emotional state. You alone hold the ultimate authority over your reactions. Never abdicate that throne for a momentary burst of anger. No one enters this space without your explicit, conscious permission. The gates remain locked to those who intend to harm you. You are the architect and the guardian of your peace, and that peace is your most valuable asset. But understand that this detachment is only step one. Mastering silence is merely building the foundational defensive wall. It stops the immediate bleeding from a direct insult. But the truly dangerous actors do not attack you directly. There is a much darker, far more subtle manipulation tactic, a tactic designed specifically for those who appear stoic. It is quiet, insidious, and incredibly difficult to detect early, and it is used in corporate boardrooms every single day. It is a strategy that bypasses your fortress entirely from the inside. It exploits the very detachment you work so hard to build. If you do not learn to recognize this secondary assault, your silence will unknowingly become the instrument of your own destruction. But you can learn to spot it. Start by reinforcing your foundation. Build your initial armor. Subscribe to the channel. And click the link below, directly in the pinned comment. Join the daily silence for your morning stoic reset.